Hey, you guys, it's Michelle again, and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of different things and a couple of touchy subjects. But how this all kind of came about was I actually made a phone call to a dear friend of mine that was what I would consider my spiritual teacher. And I was asking him some questions about some things that came up. And I really don't hit in these videos a lot of spiritual matters because the thing that I want people to understand is how to be able to really get your brain functioning the way that you want it to do. So I always start with the mind first and then I go to the spirit. So if I start talking about spiritual stuff and I start really getting into all of that, if you haven't overcame your own inner demons, a lot of things end up happening. So basically, I started having this conversation with him because a friend of mine supposedly had a visitation, and we were talking about that, and he was basically saying that's his own inner demons, meaning it's a reflection of the subconscious mind that's manifested through dreams and stuff like that. And so he said, and so as we started to talk about this, which, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the spiritual matters. What I want to talk to you about is the mind. I was saying, yeah, this is one of the reasons why I usually take very specific people and teach them spiritual stuff after they've learned how to master their own mind. And so he said, Michelle, he goes, the biggest problem that people have in this world is they're assholes. He goes, if you can teach people how to not be an asshole, you've already saved the world. And so I really started thinking about that, right? And I was thinking, oh my God, how many people are assholes? Yes. I mean, seriously, think about it. How often are you an asshole? I was telling a friend of mine about that, and they were like, we're all assholes. And I go, yeah. I mean, how often have you gotten frustrated and agitated at a person on the freeway when you didn't know why they were behaving the way they were behaving? Maybe they're having nausea or something, or had diarrhea, and and they didn't want to go over a speed bump too fast, so so they were going really slow. Or maybe they just broke their glasses and they're like looking like this, trying just to get home. You don't know. You don't know what it is that's going on with them, but you're the first person to honk at them or tailgate them or just be a fucking asshole. Sorry my French, you guys, but a little kindness is in order here. And you guys have to learn how to actually be nice people, okay? We are not in the Middle Ages anymore, okay? It's not about, chopping people's heads off and hanging people. It's not about, we don't have to go into wars over religion anymore. This is ridiculous. We have technology, we have Google, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have all the knowledge that you need from the ancients all the way back. You have everything at your hands to learn. And yet you still choose to be an ass. You still choose to be a total ass to your mom who has Alzheimer's because she doesn't understand. You choose to be a total ass to your husband because he's not giving you the attention that you want. But what about you? Maybe you're not giving him the attention he needs. You're choosing to neglect your wife from the attention she needs just because, she put on an extra 10 pounds. But you're not thinking about the fact that you're balding, or that you got a beard gut, or that, you're changing and getting old and getting wrinkles. I mean, come on. You guys are abusive to your children. And then let me talk to the predators out there, okay, you guys, because there's a lot of them. Let me just tell you this right now. About 90% of the women that come and see me have been sexually molested. So how about you guys that are molesting children? You're being a fucking ass. Okay? You're so concerned about your own fucking pleasure and your own needs that you don't think of the repercussions of how you could hurt somebody in the long run, and the torment that they have to go through trying to work through all of that. Most women that have been sexually molested either turn out to be lesbians, prostitutes, they become overly and highly sexual, or asexual completely and don't want sex at all completely. They just can't. They don't like it. They don't want it. They don't want any part of it. Or they become extremely obese because they put a padding around them because they don't want anybody looking at them or being attracted to them. So think of the damage that you're doing before you decide that you're going to behave that way. Think of the harm that you do when you cheat on your wife, the pain that you put her through. Think of the harm that you do to your husband when you go out on him. Think of all the things that doesn't encompass love that you do. Now, let me kind of reflect back to some earlier videos that I've done. The people that hurt the most, meaning they hurt other people, are the ones that have been hurt the most. And those are the ones that need love the most. So it's really easy to love somebody that's lovable. Okay? So I'm like super lovable. I'm affectionate, I'm kind, I'm generous. I think of other people's feelings. I'm super nice. People like me. And sometimes I'm kind of harsh on these videos, but in my day-to-day life and the way that I live, people like me. They just like me. I'm very friendly, I say hi to people in the elevators. I carry on conversations with strangers at Starbucks. I let somebody cut in line in front of me at the grocery store because they have less food than I do. I'm a nice person, okay? I try to live up to what it is that I say. So I would be an easy person to love, okay? But there's other people out there that are not so easy to love, okay? And those are the ones that need it the most. Why do people act like assholes? Well, people act like assholes because they've been hurt. And when somebody's been hurt, what do they need the most? They need somebody to love them. But they don't love because they don't trust, and they don't trust because they've been betrayed. And then it goes into this whole thing about expectations. It's like, well, every time I do this, I don't ever get anything back. Well, if you're trying to love with expectations, then you're never gonna be happy. If you think that, oh well, I did this, so I should get this, that's never gonna happen. Because people, first off, they don't half the time they don't even know what you need because you're not expressing it. And then the times that you do say what you need, they may not be capable of giving that to you. Your desires may be greater than what they can accomplish or what they can do. So, to all you people out there that consider yourself religious, and you make your appearance at the church every Sunday, what about what Christ said about loving your neighbor? And he commanded it. He didn't just say, hey, you guys should probably like each other. You should be nice. He also said that if a stranger, comes up to you and says that they like, something you have, then give them your coat and your hat. He said that if somebody comes over and hits you, turn the other cheek. Let him, meaning let him hit you, you know. And this isn't about being a victim. This is all metaphoric, you guys, okay? It's not literally like, oh, hit me, now hit me again. No, I'm an abusive person, go for it. Because Christ said to do it, you know. I'm now a victim because Christ told me to do it. That's not what I'm saying, you guys. Don't take things so fucking literal, okay? Now, the reason I use a lot of these metaphors like fuck and stuff like that is because I'm trying to get a point across to you, is because I'm trying to get a message to you. I'm trying to get you guys to wake up outside of this zombie freaking land that you live in, where you're just, you know, going through the motions every day, and you're not living, and you're not trying to be happy. I had somebody call me up and tell me that they weren't happy and they were tired of it. And I said, well, you know, before you decide to do work with me, you've got to decide whether or not you're committed to do the work for yourself. Because I'll tell you what you need to do to be happy. I'll give you step-by-step instructions, and you will change. You will completely transform into a completely different person within 3 to 6 months. But if you're just wanting to lay on the table and have me hypnotize you and come in once a week, that's not gonna happen, because you're not internally ready to change. You've got to be willing to make those efforts. And what that means is that you got to stop being an asshole. Now, not only be an asshole to other people, but stop being an asshole to yourself. How many of you guys are actually more abusive to yourself than you are to other people? Oh, yeah, think about that one for a second. You're hard on yourself because you're like, oh, you're so fat and you can't lose weight and you can't do this and you never accomplish anything and da-da-da. And you're never going to be loved, and nobody's ever going to like you because you're stupid and you're horrible and you have a bad temper and you can't control yourself. Well, you know what? If you keep on talking to yourself like that, I mean, you're just beating yourself up. I mean, who's going to, you're like your worst enemy. You're like your worst abuser. How's that going to fix anything? Maybe if you realize something, okay? So we'll get a little spiritual here, okay? What if you realized that you were this divine spiritual being? This divine spiritual being having a human experience. Not a human being trying to have a spiritual experience, because you'll fail at that. And you are, currently. But a spiritual being having a human experience. A divine spiritual being. And what if I told you that by allowing yourself to be in this little zombie land and letting your mind just take off like a rogue boat without a driver, that you're just rolling with it and letting these feelings just pop out here and there, and these words just come out, and I can't control myself, and I can't control my thoughts, and I can't control my feelings. Yes, you can. You're just choosing not to. You're just choosing not to. You have a choice whether or not to get in your car and go rob a bank right now, or to not. Just because a thought popped in your head doesn't mean you gotta do it, right? You have a choice right now whether or not to cheat on your wife or not. Just because you get a hard on doesn't mean that you have to, go take care of it. You have a choice whether or not to be kind to your children, to teach your children how to be decent adults. The biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish with my kids was that they could do anything, that they could be anything, that they could choose how they felt, they could choose their thoughts, they can choose their emotions, they can do all that. Over Thanksgiving, there was a bit of a joke, we all get together and everybody starts picking on everybody, and it turns into a big laughing match. And we were talking about dogs, and my sister was saying, she didn't know when to put her dog down, and I said, I just don't know that I would struggle with that. I would struggle with the choice of putting Chief down, which is my dog. And before I took Chief on, he was my son's dog. And my son said, I have control over my emotions, and I decide, what I'm going to feel and how I'm going to feel. And I limit where those emotions are going to go. And he said it very kind of cold and sort of harsh, and he said, I wouldn't have a problem just putting him down like that. And somehow or another, it kind of flipped into my sister, not my sister, but my daughter said, oh yeah, he's cold-hearted. He goes, you get Alzheimer's, Mom, and he's gonna put you down. and I was like, you go injure yourself, you get a broken leg, you're done, and we were kind of laughing about it, but the reality is that he has control, and he can make a logical decision without letting the emotions get in the way. And I taught him that. And with my daughter, she is more of the experiencer, okay? She's the one that's full of fire and wants to live life to the fullest. And people like that have high intensity emotions, okay? And so I taught her how to choose the emotions that she wanted to experience. At first, when she was young, she's like, I can't control it. And I'm like, yes, you can. Go sit in your room until you figure out what you did. And then I want you to come back out, and I want you to tell me very specifically what you did. And at first, it was like, I'm sorry, Mom, I upset you. And I'm like, no, go think about what you did. And then eventually, as she got older, she figured it out. As she would smart off, she'd get a little snappy. I go to your room. She'd go to the room. 2 seconds later, she'd come out. Mom, I thought about what I did. I did this, this, and this, and this, and I'm sorry. I was like, whoa, she learned how to turn it off just like that. Now she can do it as an adult. She might get a little like snippety, and then she catches her snap, and just like that, she's able to do it. See, you can control your mind. And you have to teach your children. You know, if you don't teach your children, you're just letting them be spoiled little brats, silver spoon babies, give them everything. They have to learn. And so you guys are just being total assholes. You're being selfish because you don't want to teach your kids. Oh, I'm tired, or work, or whatever. Oh, I have to have the big 5,000 square foot house, so both of us have to work. Instead of, taking care of your kids. Now, granted, not everybody's like that. Sometimes you do have to have 2 income. When I was married and with my kids, both of us had work. We just didn't have a choice because the, one income wasn't enough. And that was difficult. But eventually there was a point where I started to come into a phase where I wanted to have my own business, so that way I could be around a little bit more and that kind of stuff. And I started trying to figure it all out. Like, how can I, have the best of both worlds? But the thing is that even though I worked, my whole goal was to teach my children how to not be an asshole, okay? Not an asshole to themselves first, okay? You need to be kind to yourself first. And when you're kind to yourself first, then you can be kind to other people. See, if you're beating up on yourself, you're going to be beating up on other people. You can only see in somebody else what you can see within yourself. So if you can see nothing good within yourself, then you're not going to see anything good in somebody else. Somebody be the greatest person that walks on the face of the earth, and Jesus could be reincarnated right now and walk in front of you and hand you a loaf of bread, and you'd be like, get the fuck out of my way. Why are you handing me bread? Why? Because you're an asshole. And you're doing that because you're in pain, and you're in pain, and so people that are in pain treat people poorly, okay? You got to get yourself out of that pain, and then you can start treating people nice. So stop being an asshole to yourself. Start there. Start there. Start being nice to yourself. Start being kind to yourself. Start loving yourself. And if you don't like who you are, then change it. Okay? If you don't like the fact that you're fat, then lose weight. If you don't want to lose weight, then love your body the way it is. Just like, I hear so many people like, you sit here and give them like 5 different ideas on how to lose weight, and they don't want to do it. I don't want to do that because I'm like, well, then accept your body. Just realize that by eating this way, you're going to have this body. I mean, come on, seriously. It's a mathematical equation. You choose what you want to be, you know? Take responsibility for it. I don't ever sit here and say, I can't lose weight. You know, if I want to lose weight, I lose weight. If I don't, you know, if I wanted this body, then I have this body. And you know, it is what it is. You know, it's like I would rather be happy and being able to go out and have margaritas with a friend and eat some Mexican food here and there than to sit there and constantly be suffering and starving and can't do this and can't do that. You know, that's my choice. That's my choice. But I'm not sitting here, you know, trying to say or lie to myself and say I can't lose weight. Yes, you can. You can lose weight. You're just choosing not to. You're choosing that. It's up to you. But you could go work out like a slave and lose weight and still eat the Mexican food if you really wanted to. These are all choices that we make, okay? And you got to start with being nice to yourself. You got to start with believing and understanding that you are this divine, beautiful, spiritual being that was born absolutely perfect, absolutely amazing. And that's how you started. You learned how to be an asshole. Why? Because some people treated you poorly. Because assholes are the ones, they're assholes because they were being treated poorly. And it just trickles down. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about the sins of the father. Okay? And I, you know, over the years I really thought about that. It's like the sins of the father becomes the sins of the son. And basically what that means is that you pass the trait down, not through DNA, but by learned behavior. So, like, if I beat my son's going to beat his kid because that's how he was raised. If I'm constantly yelling, if I'm a yelling parent, then that child's going to grow up to be a yelling adult. You know, the way you, so basically because they're a hurt person and they're hurting other people because they were hurt. Like, why should I be nice to you? Because nobody was ever nice to me. So at some point, this is all going to stop. It's got to stop, you guys. And you got to stop making excuses and come up with every single reason why you can't. You've got this miraculous brain that you can absolutely take control over. And you can decide what you want to do with it. It's all up to you. You know? It's all up to you. Now, if you don't know how, you know what? That's probably the most honest statement that you can make. If you don't know how, then just give me a call. My phone number's on the Facebook. Send me a private message and say something. Actually, don't say hi. Hey, beautiful. Don't do that because I'll probably ignore you. Okay? What I want you to do is just send me a private message and say, hey, Michelle, I'd like to talk to you about maybe having a session with you. Where you're located, can you do call sessions, blah, 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 what's pricing? Okay? I am a businesswoman. This is what I do for a living. I give away a lot of free videos. I give a lot of free stuff. So I take a lot of my time out to educate you people. But if you need private help and you can't do it by yourself and you don't know how, then there's people like me that can help you. And if I'm not the person for you, I will definitely refer you to somebody who might be better suited for you. Okay? So, start with being kind to yourself. And stop being an asshole. Because if we can stop being assholes, we can change the world. This is Michelle. Have a good day.